All right, and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to TrainWorld's Facebook Live. Sorry for the 3-minute delay. We were having a little technical difficulties, but we're back on track. And today we have two very special guests, and they're like the dynamic duo, Batman and Robin, just Rich and Andy from MTH. I'm not sure what kind of duo we would compare you to, but who would be Batman?
Hardy.
Who would be
Laurel and Hardy, I think, would be better.
There you go.
I think you're right.
Well, always good to see you guys. And they now have their own talk show host show that is kind of like being compared to the View, or kind of like Channel 7 News, something like that. And it's on every Monday, the COVID bunker, they call it. And it's a great show. I enjoy it, guys.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. We will not be on this Monday. It's Memorial Day. I'm taking the day off. Mike doesn't know that. I mean, he expects us to be here, but I'm taking. What about you? What are you doing?
I am going to enjoy a day off as well. It's long overdue.
I agree.
I think you guys should do a Zoom barbecue for all the train fans out there.
That would be good, but alcohol would be involved, and when we start drinking, bad things happen.
I think you guys put on some Hawaiian shirts and it turned into an ugly thing. But anyway, it's great to see you guys, and great to have you guys on. And we are talking about a ton of different topics today. We'll start with a bunch of coronavirus updates and stuff that you guys have. But the main reason is we're going to be flipping through their new catalog, and they just announced it online, and we're starting to take orders. We added the items online. It's the 2020 Volume 2 catalog, and it's always exciting that when you guys do a catalog release.
Well, thank you. It's a lot of work to get them done, and you know, if you recall, we normally would have that catalog, had published it the week of York, and we were set to do that until the day before, and we decided that we had to do a lot of changes, and part of that was coronavirus related, and the other part was just Mike being Mike. So we've learned to deal with that. But
yeah.
It was literally the 11th hour and 59th minute. We had to make a lot of changes, so that delayed us a bit. But it's been online for the last 2 weeks.
2 weeks, right?
And we should have our printed copies probably
early next week. Tuesday or Wednesday, they should be here. The mailing leaves. Well, the mailing left today to go to the USPS distribution centers, which means that it will leave on Tuesday because they'll be shut down over the weekend. So folks in our club should start seeing books by the end of next week, Thursday, Friday, or maybe even Wednesday. And then the regular class mailing, I think they'll start seeing those the week after, so the first week of June.
Gotcha. So that's good. And it's strange. It's an odd time because usually you guys ship those catalogs, and the first thing that everybody does is go into those retailers or dealers and try to get a physical copy in pristine condition, no cracks, no creases. And it's like the biggest thing. But unfortunately, because of the COVID-19, we haven't been able to kind of like have that that kind of opening and release. But at least you guys have it online. You could still flip through. And it seems like a great catalog.
Well, that's good to hear. I think that one of the things that separates this catalog from most of the ones that we've done over the years, and again, goes back to the coronavirus thing, is that there's product that was previously cataloged, some of which is in stock, some of which was in the 2020 Volume 1 that came out in October. And the reason that product is being another focal point here with the new catalog is because, one, we're behind on production because of coronavirus, and two, because all the stores have been closed, our inventory is still at a level where we think we need to promote some of these items again. So there'll be some items in the book that have already been out or are coming out, and we probably won't spend a lot of time on those today as we go through it. But that's the reason why those items are back in there. So hopefully that makes sense to folks. I've been telling people who have been contacting us about deliveries is that we're at least 10 weeks out or so from what the original scheduled delivery was. They tend to be a little bit more accurate with rolling stock than locomotives. So if something was scheduled to come in the month of May, you're looking at the month of July.
Right. Gotcha. Now, I'm going to hand over the reins to you two. And I know you guys wanted to do some updates at first and then kind of go from there. So we'll pass the reins and we'll walk through this.
Okay. All right. Well, I think the first thing is to just kind of jump through the book. I'm going to pull that up. And for folks who don't realize this, when you do a catalog, when we do these interactive catalogs, they are designed in such a way that you can actually click on item numbers, zoom in on the photographs and so forth. When you click on an item number, it takes you to the website, and you can see the features for that particular locomotive or car, any copy, any links to instruction manuals and so forth. So that's the beauty of these what we call flip books, is that you can do all of that. So keep that in mind when you were looking through the book. Obviously on the front we have the Reading T1, and one of the biggest questions that we've been getting about that is that cab number 2102 isn't listed in the catalog. And that's because we were supposed to change that item, that car number on that photograph. That's the one that we did before, which I can't remember how far back that was. But anyway, that's why that one's on there and not featured in the book. So hopefully that will answer that question. There'll be a couple other items that we go through that I'll point out some discrepancies.
I think it's important to put something on the catalog cover that we aren't really offering in the book. I think that keeps people on their toes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Agree.
Yeah, it also drives the retailers insane when they get a million questions asking, can I order this? Can I order this? The one on the cover.
Apologies, sir. We're very sorry about that.
It's all right. I got an answer for them now.
There you go. So I'll just jump over to Rail King Steam because we do have one new Rail King steam engine in this book. All of the other steam locomotives that are in the book are either in stock or were cataloged in the last book. So obviously the new one here is the Rail King Berkshire, and we've been hot on Berkshires of late in that we've been doing them in HO and Premier and now Rail King. And it's a pretty cool engine. There are two nickel plate road versions. Obviously, nickel plate was famous for having the Berkshire. And the big difference between the two is the lettering on the tender. I believe both of these are 765. I could be wrong about that. So nope, they're not. One's 763, one's 765. And I'm completely wrong about the lettering on the tender. My apologies. I was thinking HO. we're on top of our
I was thinking you were heading down a bad path there, but I didn't want to stop you.
It's hard to stay abreast of everything when you're doing it in three different product lines. Thank goodness we don't have a nickel plate Berkshire and G gauge or S gauge, or I'd really be confused. So anyway, Wheeling and Lake Erie is another one of the offerings, as well as Chesapeake and Ohio. So that's that on the steam engine. Nothing different about this particular engine from other regular Rail King steam engines. Protosound 3, synchronized puffing smoke, and obviously passenger or freight yard sounds depending on what the engine.
It includes the extra detail that an Imperial steam has as well.
Right. So that would be things like tender truck chains, real coal load, backhead detail where the gauges and whatnot are painted up. Correct. And figures in the cab. So now, good to know that a lot of folks don't realize that some of these differences, but when you see the Imperial logo, that's the sign that the extra features and details are there.
You had something, Kenny?
Yeah, no, I was just going to chime in on the Imperial because a lot of people ask that question. So that's good that you guys went over that.
Here's another Imperial, the Hudsons. These are out and in stock, as are the Pacifics. I think we've shared some videos over the last few months about these. TrainWorld may have some of the videos as well on their YouTube site. 10-wheelers, are not Imperial, nor are these Commodores. And boy, that's a big, bright pink train right there. Few of those left. A lot of feedback on the breast cancer things that we've done over the years. So been a pretty good seller, but still a few left. And the Rexall train down there on the bottom of page 23, we've had for a while. And that's a prototypical paint scheme. The Rexall Drug Company had an engine decorated that way for a promotional tour.
Yes, they did.
So that's pretty cool. We may talk about that a little bit in the copy as well. Which you can read by either looking at it here, clicking on it, it'll zoom up and you can see that copy, or of course on the website. So that's 49ers. The only one that's correct from a prototypical paint scheme would be the Union Pacific. Not very many of those left, I don't believe.
No, we're down to low single digits.
Low single digits. I don't even know why I left it in there, except that it's really the only true 49er. So I suppose that sort of made sense. And then, of course,
it's a cool, unique engine, though.
Pacific Daylight. It's super neat, and for what you're getting out of that, all die-cast metal. I love going to shows and having a customer come up and ask us about locomotives and the quality and the feel of them. And there's nothing like putting one of those engines in their hand with the weight of that boiler and tender. It surprises a lot of people. I'm sure you guys have done the same in the store. Yeah,
it's a great engine, heavy. And definitely unique. It's different from a typical engine. If you want color with an engine with color and flash and a little bit of uniqueness, this is a great choice.
Absolutely. So now we'll jump over to the Rail King diesels. Rich, we're looking at the RS1.
Yeah, it's Rail King scale RS1.
And what's Rail King scale?
They're true scale engines, not as much detail as our Premier line, but they're very affordable. And the RS1s and the RS3 we'll get to in a page or so. I've always been popular with scale modelers, Premier modelers, as well as Rail King customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Long Island is especially going to do well in our neck of the woods. And I don't think you ever done that paint scheme in the RS1 before.
We have not. Excuse me. That is the first time we've done that particular paint scheme. It's named for Lester C. Tichy.
I would think Tichy, yes.
And it ran on the Long Island Railroad in the 50s. And we're also changing this up a little bit. I think the feature list only lists freight yard sounds, but this RS1 for Long Island will actually be a passenger sound set. Not sure if I've adjusted that on the website, but it will be done off of the Montauk branch via the Central branch, which ran from Jamaica to Montauk, if I'm correct in that. So that'll be something different with this RS1. Not sure what cars we have with it from the past, but none in this book.
There are some previously released Long Island Rail King cars that easily could go behind that.
Yeah. All right. And the other road names, Gulf Mobile in Ohio. This particular scheme we've never done before on an RS1. We did do GM&O this scheme on a DL109, but never this particular scheme on an RS1. Eastman Kodak, this is the first time in Rail King first time in Rail King for Eastman Kodak. We've only done one before in the 44 tonner.
In the 44 tonner, and which was very popular.
Very popular.
So this one should be a good seller as well in the RS1.
Yeah, I think so. And then the other road is Washington Terminal, also one that we've never done before. And this will be in favor of the folks who are
RF&P fans mainly, and
Washington metropolitan area. Yep. So those are pretty neat. It's a cool looking engine, a lot of detail on it, and like all of the Rail King scale models, fits in perfectly with your Premier locomotives or any scale locomotives. They are built to scale. And when our approach for Rail King scale, just so folks understand, has been kind of twofold. One, if we've got older tooling that doesn't have the detail levels of the Premier line today, and a good one in this book that we'll touch on a little bit later is the Alko C630. If the tooling is older and it doesn't have all the finite detail levels that our Premier models have, then we cycle it in the Rail King and call it Rail King scale. if it's a smaller engine that we were developing over the years that we could do to scale proportions in the Rail King line, we've done so. And this RS1 is a good example of that. Next up in the book, engine that's in stock, the RS3s. I won't spend a lot of time on this just because it's been around for a little while now. I don't know if I emailed you last night, Kenny, but I think I just put this video up in Rail King folder for you to pull down.
Okay, cool.
Along with some other ones. I can't remember if I emailed you or not. It was late. But at any rate, New Haven, Susquehanna, Conrail, Western Maryland. Again, a Rail King scale engine in stock and ready to buy from TrainWorld. Next up, Rich, Alko FA2s, been around for a while. Not a Rail King scale, just a traditional Rail King.
Traditional Rail King size engine, yeah. And yeah, these are carried over.
Right. GP7s coming up here are new for 2020 Volume 2. Lehigh Valley, Rock Island, Pennsylvania, and Pittsburgh and Lake Erie. What can you tell us about these, Rich?
Well, this is a different Pittsburgh and Lake Erie paint scheme. It was called the Howard Fogg paint scheme, and he was an illustrator for the P&LE in New York Central. So I believe this is the first time we've ever done that paint scheme on any engine, maybe in the only time they ever had it. Also, the Lehigh Valley scheme is quite different for Lehigh Valley than we've done in the past. And you'll notice that the Pennsy version has the large lettered 7020 on there.
The cab numbers.
Cab numbers,
right.
Yes.
Right.
It started to happen about 1950 on the Pennsy. So
they were for better visibility, but who really cared?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Beyond me.
Yeah.
But, and of course, that Rock Island Route of the Rockets, that's I believe, the first time that we've done that particular scheme.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's good for you to have that knowledge in your head. See, Kenny's laughing because he knows the truth.
I think we did a similar one back, I don't know, 15 years ago, but it had the safety stripes and whatnot on the front and whatnot. So okay. I believe, if my memory serves, I've been around here a long time, Kenny. I'm starting to drift a little bit.
You guys are kind of like a married couple.
Well, not a lot of people know this, but Rich and I have known each other since 8th grade.
Wow.
So, yeah, long time. So I was much taller than Rich then. I don't know what happened after that, but
and ironically, I was smarter than Andy then too.
Yeah,
but
I think
now everything reversed.
Yeah, everything reversed. So yeah,
wow.
We went to high school and college together, University of Maryland, and we never
really?
lived together, but we lived close to one another for 11 years or something like that. So anyway,
cool.
So that's why
Very
we're
good.
married. Like, sorry to offend any viewers out there about that, but. Here's a Rail King scale that used to be a Premier engine, Rail King C628, C630s that I mentioned before. This is another one of the videos that I allegedly sent you last night, Kenny. I don't recall.
I don't. Yeah, I think you got to resend them.
No, they're in the folder. I think I just forgot to tell you that they're in the folder. So
no problem. No problem.
EMD SW1500s. In stock, ready to buy. If Kenny doesn't have them, we still have them, so you can order them from TrainWorld. They'll get them to you in a couple of days. Not a problem there. MP15s on pages 40 and 41, also in stock. Interesting on this setup is the Rose Acres, kind of a cool-looking engine. I think they were an egg place. I think they have chickens.
Oh, chickens.
Yeah, I could be wrong about that, but I think that's what that's what they do.
Those are Rail King. The MP15s have always been pretty popular. It's a nicely detailed Rail King scale engine, and it's at home on anybody's layout.
Yeah,
I agree. Alko PAs, the neat one about these, again, these are traditional Rail King engines, so not to scale, not Imperial. That stainless plated body finish for the Santa Fe war bonnet up there. It's called a gold bonnet. That's not the greatest picture in the world. I actually have the production samples in my photography lab for daily newsletter creation, so we'll see some good pictures of those in the next week or two. But it's pretty spectacular looking in person. We've done that in Premiere.
Yeah.
There's a video on the website of it in Premiere. It's a good looking piece. This will look exactly the same.
Yeah, that engine. Sorry to go back, but that engine was actually very popular in Premiere. And Rich was saying that that's an actual engine. It's not a fantasy paint scheme or anything. That was an actual.
It did exist for not a long period of time. I want to say it was during a promotion out in Southern California.
Right.
I think, was it for a power company? Was it for General
Electric, I believe, and the Santa Fe, and it didn't run in that livery long. I want to say about 2 months or something, but it is a real Santa Fe.
If you go to the MTH website, mthtrains.com, and do a search for the Premiere one, there's a good little backstory with it on the website. Yeah, and it obviously applies to this Rail King version as well.
Yep.
So next up is the Aero Train, and these just came in, I believe, in March.
Yeah, about 6-8 weeks ago. Yeah.
So they're in stock. New York Central, UP, Rock Island, and Pennsylvania. It's like being in a bus without any suspension, I believe is the way they describe riding one of those. So,
no, but since we don't have to ride in this, these things do pretty well. They're very unique on anybody's layout. They've always been popular when we run them.
So then we've got SD70 Aces, and did we run these again, the bushes, or are they just carryovers?
No, this is a new production because we sold out incredibly quickly on the first batch, and then a couple of Norfolk Southern heritage schemes to go along with it, and the Spirit of the Union Pacific 1943, which was very popular as well.
Correct. All right, so then next up is where things go back to some new, well, here's some other paint schemes. I forgot about these. These are all in stock, right? All of these are in stock. So it's just the two heritage ones and the George Bush, that's the other run?
Yes, right. I believe so.
Okay. Then we've got GE ES44s, and the reason why these are in here, they were in the last catalog, is that correct?
Yes, they were.
So we've stuck them back in here, one, because they haven't come out, again, back to the Corona delays for production. And two, we are introducing a slew of add-on cars for the CSX versions, of which there are 3. We've got the first responders, the veterans, and the Spirit of Law Enforcement. So on the next page, you can see all the different cars that we're doing. And they're going to be pretty slick, I think. This is the first of 2 different series of add-on cars that are featured in this book in Rail King. How well did the previous first responders do?
They did very well, and we always have people with some of these paint schemes asking for add-on, matching rolling stock. So that's hence they'll be out in the summer, late summer.
Correct. The other piece in here, which we've discussed before, Kenny, previously with Mike and you on an earlier TrainWorld broadcast, is our election series, and these are ES44s with cabooses, and both for the Republicans with President Trump and Joe Biden for the Democrats. And these are selling very well through the dealers, so I assume that they're doing well for you guys. I don't know what happened to Kenny.
Kenny, have we lost you?
One second.
Oh, he's good.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
you. All right. Sorry, I'm trying to switch over because the audio, I guess, was cutting in and out of the system I was using before.
I should point out these 2 ES44s have charging lights.
They do,
which adds a little bit of.
And how have sales been for these so far, Kenny?
Outstanding. I will tell you that one has sold a lot better than the other one. I'm not going to say which has trumped the other one, but there is one engine that has sold a lot better.
I do want to point out, because I heard both sound sets a day or two ago, and Andy, you should probably get those up.
I have them, and I was going to play them today, but I ran out of time. But they'll be up on the website
from both candidates. They're quotes from rallies and stump speeches and whatnot, and the sound files sounded pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard them. They're pretty slick. So they'll be in the engines, triggered through your PFA access, whether using the remote, the app, or even a traditional transformer with a bell and whistle button. You can trigger those sound effects. So they're pretty cool. Now, we kind of pre-announced these engines earlier in the spring, and what the 2020 Volume 2 catalog has are a bunch of add-on items for these locomotive sets. So you can build your entire Trump train or Biden train with all of these different add-ons.
That's correct. And of course, we're showing off the bump and goes as well.
Yep. So you can also go with the bump and go trolleys. Now they don't have any sound effects or anything like that. And obviously they're the bump and go mechanism. So backwards and forwards. Good for sitting on your desk and entertaining people who are not of your political persuasion.
Yeah, and it's nice that you guys offered both parties, a choice to order for different things, and I think both will do very well. So it's great to see both arenas that you guys are doing, both Democrat and Republican side. It's not just one or the other. So I think that was definitely very smart for you guys.
Well, thanks. We figured that it would be a little. Maybe not such a wise idea to not do it that way. So that was always our approach. And, it's amazing. A lot of people will go, why are you doing political parties at all? So it's all over the place. But at least you have a choice. One way, the other way, or no way. And right now it looks like either way, as far as buying these, is going good.
And look, we stayed out of anything for a long time, but we had a lot of requests for, both, really. And so once we started to think about it, we just naturally went ahead and did it, like you said.
For it. Yep. So anyway, we have some subways that are in stock. So these Q types and the low Vs are still available. So that's why they're back in here. I don't think we have very many of them. It seems like the market can never get tired of subways. So it's always good to call people back who may not have realized that these were done or didn't have time to get them in the past. They still have a chance to pick them up. When you do 1,500 different items a year, it's pretty easy for things to get overlooked, and people have to budget, and they can't always get everything. So it's challenging for the consumer. This is a good opportunity to revisit some of these items.
And folks, TrainWorld's easily our biggest subway dealer. So if anybody's going to have them, TrainWorld will.
Yep. We sell tons of subways, and most of the subways you see are actually from New York. But it's a big business for you guys. But back on Andy's product, or mentioning the 1,500 products, I mean, you guys have a huge catalog offering, and it's not just O scale anymore. You guys do G scale, HO, so template. So you guys have tons of products that you got to keep your eyes on.
Well, hence why I'm always so confused.
Makes sense now, Andy.
Yeah, see, it's becoming clear. Oh man, it's too much. So rolling stock follows the diesel locomotives and modern tank cars. Here a car in here that should be of interest to your fans up there, Kenny, would be the Long Island fire protection car. And my man Charles called this out and said I need to mention it, but I can't remember if he said that it was prototypical or not. So I have to apologize for that. I don't have that in my notes. But that's a car that I think will do well for you guys.
Yeah, sure.
And the ore cars, we've thrown another one in there. So that black Long Island car, is that it?
No, it's the
got it right here. There's another one, and then over in our caboose section, cranes, by the way, these crane booms go up and down and whatnot. Lighted interior on the crane tender car. The caboose is N5C. There's Long Island.
Nice.
So that's cool. So I expect to see big numbers from you.
And you'll see on the
expect nothing less, Andy.
You'll see on the previous page, we've got more of the popular military loads on the flats. This time we're doing both the green and the desert schemes on the Humvees and the Striker vehicles. So they've been very popular.
Yeah, anything military has done very well, and you guys have really done a lot in the past couple of years, and new molds with the tanks and all the different vehicles. So really cool, neat stuff.
And these are die-cast, well, very nicely detailed loads too.
Right,
They're not
148 scale. They're 148 scale, as Rich said, die-cast. And for the first time, we're offering them separately. So at the back of the catalog, there's a page devoted to all of the loads that we currently have in production under a new sub-brand called Armor Series. And so its own little package with a nice plexi case that holds it. So you'll be able to buy them separately so you can get extras if you so choose and build your own military fleet however you want. So pretty cool. Okay, so now Premier line. We have a couple of new steam engines in here and then some that are recatalogued from Volume 1. First up is the Reading T1, which obviously was on the cover. A couple of things about this Reading. There are two Reading paint scheme offerings, and one of these is supposed to have white wall wheels. I believe it's the Ramble, and we messed that up. So the production model will have the white wall wheels. Obviously, the cab number, unlike the cover shot, would be 2101, not 2102. There are two Blue Mountain, what are these called? Blue Mountain and Reading, right? This is an excursion line, I think, in Virginia.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the American Freedom. This American Freedom thing is pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get a better shot on the website. I may break things here. I'll apologize. There we go. A little bit better. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that's a good example of how this thing can jump back and forth from the catalog to the website, where you can see that deco on the American Freedom.
Andy, I think if you were a co-salesman with Rich, our numbers would be up.
I think you're right, but on the other hand, I was pointing out the American Freedom while highlighting the third Blue Mountain and Reading railroad, so I screwed up again. The American Freedom is over here, and there you go. There are two of those. So we're doing a lot of multiples of paint schemes with these engines. We're getting our mileage out of the T1 tooling this go around. These engines all have, and for those of you who have bought our big boy, the quillable steaming whistle. So you'll be able to trigger the steam coming out of the whistle with your DCS remote or the app, or a conventional transformer, which I've yet to do, but you can trigger that and get the smoke to come out. You can't quill the whistle. By that I mean you can't change the output of the smoke coming out of the whistle and the pitch of the sound using a conventional transformer, but you can get that smoke to come out. And by conventional, we're talking about a transformer with a whistle and a bell button like the venerable Z4000. Like that?
Venerable.
Threw that word in
Yes.
there, huh? Yeah, see, I went to college. Here we go. Big boys are in production. Summertime delivery. They're running a bit late, and again, apologies with the coronavirus. What can you tell me about this big boy that people may not realize?
Well, again, it's got the smoking quillable whistle.
It also has clearly spelled out right here on the front the actual sounds.
Actual sounds, that's right, of the restored 4014 when it was fired up and running last year. And of course, you've got other choices. You can get a coal burning 4014, or there's a couple other cab numbers as well in there.
Correct. The oil burner 4014, that being the restoration model, has some detail levels on it that the other engines may not, or certainly don't, including the marks on the tender where the water level would be. I guess the railroad required that for the That's the problem. Can't zoom back out. Might have broke it, people. Might have broke my catalog. I'm going to jump back to a picture of Rich and I, so I can try to figure out what's going on here. Talk silently amongst yourselves.
Well, obviously in this book too, we carried over the 440 Americans, and because we're running behind, as we've discussed earlier. So the Central Pacific and Union Pacific for the 150th anniversary of the Golden Spike should be out sometime this summer. We also have the Baltimore, Ohio, Strasburg, and New York Central Empire State Express 999 in there. So as my partner works at a snail-like pace, I'll also point out that new for this book is the, back in here is the nickel plate Berkshire. And when and if Andy can ever get back to the catalog image, I wanted to point out, because we didn't call it out on the page, it's in the features, but it's not clearly called out. It's going to have as well the smoking coilable whistle. That'll be the first time that engine's ever had a smoking whistle. So that might be of interest to some folks.
I got it back up.
Ah, there we go.
Except I'm not full screen. Let me get to full screen. All right. I didn't want anybody to see the tabs I might have had to porn sites.
No. Oh.
So did you finish discussing this?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Apologies. I don't know what happened with the website there, but we're back up and running. So that's it for the Premier Steam. And again, 2 new engines in this book, the Reading T1s and the nickel plate Berkshires. Next up, GE 44 tonners. Now, you know, when we did the new tooling for 44 tonners, probably about 3 years ago now, maybe
3 or 4.
3 or 4. You know, we were harped on for not having done a new locomotive tool. And we've since just about broke this thing with as many different paint schemes and runs that we've done. So hopefully folks they've sold very well, and folks have found them to be a great addition to the railroad.
And Kenny, there's some in this run of 44 tonners that should do very well for TrainWorld. There's the New York Dock Railway, and that took cars from Brooklyn and Jersey to the Atlantic Terminal in Flatbush. So that should do well in your neck of the woods. Also, there's
York and Ontario Western.
Yeah.
And also, I'd like to say at York, your 44 tonners are like the first to go. Whenever we have all your engines laid out on all the tables, they just grab the 44 tonners because it's at a great price point, and they're getting a great engine for the money. So it's definitely a great seller.
It's a pretty cool piece, die-cast metal, so it's got some heft to it, and it's got obviously the digital sound in there, and
scale.
And scale, absolutely. So I don't think people realize how small they are, you know, when they first look at it or see in a book until you really get it.
But they're die-cast, so they're heavy. They can pull, and a really cool the sound system or the sound effects on that engine are just real cool. We obviously recorded the real thing.
We did record the real thing. There's a link in the catalog about it that you can go and read about the recording session. One of the local MTH customer actually owns one in Maryland, up by Frederick, Maryland, a little past that, I think. And he was always harping on us to build that locomotive. So he helped us out with the sound. They had to restore it and get it all running and whatnot. But so anyway, yeah, it's got the real sound effects. So pretty cool. Next up, another one of my favorite little switchers is this Alko S2. And again, Kenny, we're thinking about you here.
Yeah. It's going to be a good catalog for us.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, there's 2 in there: the Long Island and the Brooklyn Eastern Terminal that should do outstanding for you.
Yeah, very nice, and especially the Brooklyn Eastern District. That's a lot of color, and so I think that will do very well.
Yeah, I do too, and we're excited about it. Sorry I didn't put it as the nifty shot. I wasn't thinking. Your competitor up in Massachusetts is probably happy with me, but oh, too funny. GP7s, these never get tired for us, and not a lot to say about them in particular, other than the fact that 6 road names. I expect out of them, probably the Santa Fe will do the best, though Milwaukee Road usually gives them a pretty good run. So they'll be out, and again, like any other Premier engine, 2 motors, die-cast trucks, fuel tank pilot, digital sound,
exhaust
smoke. Yeah. Yep.
Rich, Kevin just had a quick question and a good question. On the 44 tonners, do you know if they're a single motor or dual motor?
That is a single motor.
Single motor. Okay.
I think not.
Hold on.
I think it's
maybe No, it is 2 motors.
Yeah. You got to be familiar. Aren't you VP of sales?
A good vice president of sales would have known that.
Clearly says 2 precision motors.
All right. There's your answer, Kevin, too.
Oh, that's funny. I like making fun of Rich. I don't know about you, Kenny, but I enjoy it. So SD45s, and the thing to point out here is the Great Northern, is the Hustle Muscle, and we messed up and did not show the other paint scheme because Hustle Muscle was only available on cab number 400. So the second paint scheme will just be a traditional Great Northern scheme without the Hustle Muscle lettering.
Anybody buying cab number 408, it will not have the Hustle Muscle on it.
Let's see if a photograph is online yet. I'm guessing no, but we'll just check. Nope. Failure. Sorry. It will be shortly, but may not.
Who do we have to talk to about that? Yeah.
It'll fall on deaf ears anyway, Kenny. It doesn't matter who. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to let you finish up on that.
Well, I was going to say there was the Beeline service. Reading has always done pretty well for us as well, so that's back in the book.
And the Maryland Midland is a local branch line here in Union Bridge, Maryland, which is about 45 minutes from here. Runs cement back and forth. I think it goes next to the golf course that we played that 100-hole tournament on.
Yeah, I think it does as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think you hit it over the railroad tracks.
I did hit it on the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
It was considered OB, I think.
Is that where I got the goose?
No.
No? Wasn't there? You sure?
Yeah, different course, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. All right. Anyway, sorry about that little diversion. These things stick in your head every now and then. SD35. Now, this is a good example of different tooling configurations that we have for a model. So we've got some of these paint schemes available with the low nose and others with the high nose. And when you design the tooling, if you do it with some forethought in mind, something we don't typically do, you can have different cab configurations. Sure. If you don't do it that way, then you're stuck with what you got. So your core tool would have to be replaced and a new tool design.
Very time consuming and very expensive.
That's
so
correct.
In this case, we got 2 high nose, the Southern and the Tuxedo scheme, and the Norfolk Western, and then 4 low nose version.
Right. That's good. You knew Tuxedo scheme. You're impressing me today. You're welcome.
I think you should have your own comical show. I mean, forget the train thing. I think a comedy show would be a real good bit for you guys.
Well, we probably wouldn't run out of material because we both screw up so much. We'd be able to needle each other, endlessly.
Yeah, but who wants to watch 2 fat guys?
Yeah.
I mean, 1 fat guy and 1 skinny guy.
You're right.
Right. Nobody wants to see that.
All right. Moving on.
GP38s. These are in stock. I'm pretty sure Kenny got a video of this one.
Yeah.
He didn't say it.
Could be. I got 1 HO, 1 O gauge.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Then it wasn't that one because it was Alko PA. I know you got that as
yes, it was the PA. Yes, sir.
EMD F3s. Do we get tired of making these?
Never get tired of making them.
Jersey Central is nice though. That's going to sell well for us.
Yeah, it will. And it was time to bring out a freight scheme there in Jersey Central. We hadn't done that in a while. This is the first main central F3 we've ever done as well in this book.
The other thing is, for those people who saw the catalog when it first came out on May 8th, may have seen that the Milwaukee Road paint scheme was mislabeled as Minneapolis and St. Paul. So you did proof the catalog, right?
I glanced at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm blaming you on that mistake. I was able to correct it the next day, but anyway, the printed version correctly says Milwaukee Road, so no worries there. Santa Fe, stainless body, right?
Yeah, plated. Yep. Those are always popular. The plated versions of the Santa Fe.
Right. And then Cigar Band New York Central should do well. So that's pretty cool. GP40s are up next, Rich.
Yeah, the Jeep 40, you've got an Air Force Jeep 40 that they used up in Alaska to transport coal to the power plants for the bases. So that is a real paint scheme there. And then, of course, the Southwest Pennsylvania Railroad, we did a few years back. I don't remember on what prototype, but that it sold very well.
We did?
Yes, we did.
Oh, that's pretty impressive that you remember that. I don't. I didn't think we ever
well,
did that.
Now that I'm thinking about it, it was one of the carload express from down there.
I don't think it said Southwest Pennsylvania. I'm pretty
sure. It was Allegheny Valley.
Yeah.
But the paint scheme is the same. Yes. Yeah. So that's what I was thinking about. But this is, I guess this is the first time we've done Southwest Pennsylvania.
Yep.
So that should do pretty well.
And that's outside of Pittsburgh?
Yes.
Okay. Now, SD70 Aces. Nope, let's check that. SD40s, these are in stock. The one I really like is this Ontario Northland. I think that's a good looking paint scheme.
Yes,
yeah. It's different.
Yep. Now we got our SD70 Aces. And this was almost entirely Canadian Pacific. And then we realized maybe we had too much. Canadian Pacific has done multiple paint schemes. I think 5, 6 different paint schemes on the SD70 Ace, which it's really technically not an SD70 Ace. The real life model is an SD70U, I believe.
AU. Yes. And but we're going to do whatever we can in terms of working with the Ace tooling in order to get these as close as possible.
Yeah, right. Those are really nice paint schemes too. I think those will do very well. Everybody likes a new paint scheme, so that's brand new. And quite honestly, no one's ever done that before in O scale. And quite honestly, I don't even think HO scale or any scale.
Well, we were getting over the past the show season, which for us runs about October to end of February. Right. We're getting a lot of requests for these, for these Canadian Pacific schemes that they were rolling out. So we had to get them in the book.
We did. And one of the questions that we got from some CP fans was about the actual maroon and gray scheme at the top there, and whether or not we would be doing, I think they call block lettering, because we didn't show the second one and the 7013, but the block lettering was actually
different cab number.
So
if you want the block lettering, be a little patient. Yeah. It'll be you'll see something down the road with the block lettering, but both of these are script.
Exactly. The 3 military Canadian Pacific ones, I believe, will have American flags on at least 2 of them because they've updated the paint schemes. Actually, what it is it depends on the side that you're looking at. Unfortunately, we always run from left to right, so the engine's running from left to right. It's just the standard format that I established one night after doing something. So the books historically always run left to right, and I didn't realize until after the fact that the flag is on the other side of the engine. My bad. But anyway, be aware that there is an American flag on these. So there is an American connection. So anybody that's been buying our military products, would want to think about that. The other thing from a historical standpoint, the Canadian Pacific actually has 2 more paint schemes, another green and I believe another gray. But we took what we thought were the more exciting of the schemes and put them here. So as I said, this initially was going to be all Canadian Pacific other than what was in stock, which would be the Powered by Our People, UP down there in the lower right-hand corner. We'll be doing a new run of the Wabash Norfolk Southern Heritage with this production run. Okay, SD70Ms. This is pointed out because of 4014. And 4014, for those who don't know, actually helped move the big boy from its original resting place out to Cheyenne for the restoration. And we actually just have a prototypical photograph of it. So we've now built all of these engines. The big boy, well, we're building the big boy, the 4014 SD70M, which is in stock, and the flag version back there, whatever that
That was trailing the big boy. Right. That was running behind, and they numbered that 4848.
Right. Was it 4848 or 4884?
Oh, excuse me, 4884. I dyslexic or something.
Well, you're a top-notch salesman.
Nevertheless, so you can actually run that as a consist, and just like it towed the big boy.
Right.
So
exactly. SD70 Max, these are all in stock. The Norfolk Southern. Did we do more than one scheme of this Norfolk Southern?
Yeah.
We did. We sold the blue one. Did it have a blue front?
We did the blue and a red before.
So we sold those. So we still have some yellow ones. And then the other paint schemes. So they're all in stock, and order them from TrainWorld. They can get them for you if he doesn't have them.
Yep.
Okay, like Rail King, and I mentioned this at the onset, ES44s, we've got them in Premier as well, and we're focusing on some reruns of the heritage schemes for Norfolk Southern in both nickel plate, Pennsylvania, and
Norfolk Southern.
Norfolk Southern, right.
But the main thing is we've added the matching rolling stock, Andy.
We have for the CSX version.
For the CSX.
Right. So that's on the next page, like we did with the Rail King. Slightly different paint schemes from what's in Rail King, so there's a difference for the Rail King fans versus the Premier fans. And surely, you could mix them up if you wanted to as well. So that's not holding anybody back.
Those are going to be cool. Popular.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think they'll do quite well.
Yeah.
Okay, and then next up is our turbo train. When was the last time we did that? I don't recall. I forgot to put it in.
2014, I believe.
Okay, all right. And this particular unit, you have a powered in on one end and on the other, right?
Yes.
And then the middle car, and you can add another car to make a 4-car configuration. I think the last time we promoted these, we might have screwed up and failed to pick the middle car without the truck. In other words, the middle car has one truck because it shares another truck with the other car. And I believe when we first promoted these, we showed it with 2 trucks and screwed people up because they thought it would run by itself. Am I right about that?
Well, I suppose
it's possible.
Yes, I think I do remember that.
Yeah. Anyway, so those are pretty cool. That's such a unique looking piece. So it's one of the things, Kenny, when we're talking about how many different items we do, is that you cover really a whole gamut of railroading, from a historical standpoint. And these things were, the railroad's effort to streamline and look more efficient with the passengers to try to offset what was happening to them from a ridership standpoint when they were competing with and losing to the airline industry. So the Aero train and Rail King and the Turbo train here in Premier are good examples of how history is being represented here in this particular catalog and our product line in general. Yeah,
that's true. For sure.
So the last locomotive is the P5A, and we've done this twice. Well, I shouldn't say twice. We've done it before. The P5A original, which is what we're calling the box cab, was done back in 2008. And the modified version which looks kind of like the forebear to the GG1 was last run in 2006.
Yeah, it's been quite a while.
Quite a while. It's amazing how time goes.
And these are die-cast bodies as well.
With motorized operating pantographs. So they go up and down at the trigger of the reverse, and there's whole sound effects with it as well, if I recall. And I believe, do they have the smoke? I don't know if they have the smoke.
I would have to.
The GG1s that we've done have the smoke, and the Little Joes, I think, in Premier have the smoke, which was the generator, the heat generator, right, for heating, if I recall. My knowledge is immense.
It's impressive.
Yeah,
really.
I think so. Next up is our freight car section, and we'll jump through here, kind of quick. The corrugated auto cars. We've not done these particular paint schemes on this car in the past. So these are all new paint schemes. I believe that we're using panels that we hadn't used before that give you a little bit more deco room. I could be wrong about that, but so anyway, these are new paint schemes for the corrugated auto cars: Kansas City Southern, Canadian Pacific, DNF, F, and UP.
And our buddy Max Harris is excited for those, and shout out to Max. Hopefully
Max is always
doing well.
Making critical comments of me on Facebook. On the Monday COVID broadcast.
Is he fat shaming you?
Yeah, I think he is.
Easy.
It's kind of rude.
He's a nice kid. I don't know.
Super nice. Yeah.
Max, that's low hanging fruit.
Yeah,
if you're gonna criticize Andy, make it a little more clever.
Yeah. Hold on. My father's back here crawling underneath.
The next page is showing our PS1 boxcars and our waffle-sided boxcars, and there's 2 points I want to make about these, and it kind of applies to a lot of the Premier rolling stock. First up is the fact that if any of our rolling stock items have the KD coupler mounts, you'll be able to easily convert the car to two-rail with our scale wheel trucks, which we show on each page where the car is relevant for that conversion. So look for that if you're a two-rail fan. You can easily do that. The other thing is this PS1 Pullman Standard, I should say, the 50-foot waffle-sided car on page 119, the Pullman Standard, is the third Pullman Standard deco scheme that we've done over the years. The first two were just part of our regular Railroaders Club offerings. Correct. And were not made available as a regular cataloged item. So any of those Railroader Clubs members, Premier Club members over the years, and unfortunately I don't have the dates, the years that we did the Pullman Standard paint schemes, but this is a great opportunity to finish that collection off with this waffle-sided boxcar. Okay, two-bay offset hopper, which I don't think I have any notes on these 2 pages.
Well, we did. You could call out the tooling change.
Well, yeah, that's what I was getting to on the two-bay offset. On the offset hoppers, we have this flat end offset. So anybody that remembers our regular offset side hopper, it was a peaked in. So there was I don't know if people can see my mouse, but there was a peaked in, and these cars do not have that. This is the first time we've done this in any of our catalogs. We've had this tooling for a while. It's just a slide. I was mentioning earlier about the high hood and low hood GP40, was it? No, ST35. And this is another example of that. But we forgot about it. And we've had this tooling for 10 years, I think. And
never
did it with the flat end. So that's on me, I think. I can't blame that on you. I mean, I could.
You could.
But I won't. So anyway. 3-bay center flow hoppers are over on the next page, and along with 2-bay center flow hoppers. And the neat thing I like about these cars is how much deco you can get on them. And with the 3-bay center flows, we've done a Rail King scale Kodak RS1, right, in this book. And that Eastman Kodak car, Eastman Chemical Products, I should say, which would make a great complement. I think it's actually road name is, well, it's all both Tennite Plastics,
Yes,
Eastman Chemical.
both of those cars.
Good complement for the RS1.
Yeah, for the Kodak.
So there's a way of, kind of mixing in a Rail King scale locomotive with the actual Premier scale freight car. Just a thought for folks looking to do that. It certainly won't look bad. Will be an orange and yellow box, but it won't look bad. So more of the loads, and the big difference here for Rail King versus Premier is that we're putting 2 loads on each car, and we run 2 4-car sets instead of 1 in Rail King. So you can actually have 8, 9 different cars if you wanted. All are individually numbered. You're going to need multiple locomotives to pull that.
Actually, it's 10 because in the box of 2 on the single, you get 2 different cars.
Numbers. You're right.
So you could have
10 cars.
10.
Right. So, but you'll have to buy more engines because you want, have all this motive power in front of it. Not that one couldn't pull them, but it's more impressive.
Hey guys, we did have someone new into trains asking the difference between Rail King and Premier.
That's a good question. Yeah. Do you think you can answer that?
The Premier product is all built 1:48 scale, and it carries a higher level of detail, and hence a higher price tag as well in general. The Rail King's more of the value line. It is some of it gets a little confusing because, like we've mentioned, Rail King scale, Rail King Imperial. Some of the Rail King is built to scale. It is more affordable because there's not nearly as much hand-applied detail to the Rail King. But electronics-wise, same backbone, everything's
exactly the same.
Is the same.
Functions and features pretty much the same.
Correct. I tell people the sound systems that come in a ready-to-run PS3 starter set or in a $1,600 big boy in Premier. So that is true.
Yeah. I like to look at Rail King, kind of classify it as a traditional O-gauge product line versus a higher end, more scale-oriented product line in the Premier line. And if any new customers go to mthtrains.com and click on our product lines link right there on the home page, we have a little overview of each item, and we do that in the front of the catalog as well. We talk about Rail King in particular in the front of the catalog because we have mentioned earlier today about Rail King Scale, Rail King Imperial, and then what we would call just a regular straight up Rail King, like an FA2 or the Alko PAs or the E8s. And that overview is expressed in the front of the catalog. Right. So any new folks can certainly go there and check that out. And obviously, if there are other questions, we're certainly available to answer them. Flat cars with trash containers, these are some of my favorite Premier cars. Those trash containers are slick.
They are. And Kenny, this page, again, features a couple of things right up your alley.
It's all you, brother.
East Carbon Development, which is found on Staten Island, and the USA Waste Services is doing business in Queens and the Bronx. And
what are you trying to say about New Yorkers with all these trash containers?
Well, there's a lot of them in a pretty small area.
There you go.
I'm sure it's much cleaner right now. Nobody's out, right? So air pollution's down, trash is down. Yeah,
trash is down. That's for sure.
Yep. So
I got to stick up for our New Yorkers here.
I know you did. I know you did. Well, we appreciate the support from everybody there. That's for sure. So keep at it.
So the
twin stacks are up next, and this this is where I got confused on the 2-car sets. We had 3-car sets. I got it now. So back to my story about the turbo train and the extra car.
Yeah,
I was wrong. We never screwed that up. Well, I never screwed that up.
Okay.
It was the twin stacks.
I see.
I think this first time we promoted twin stacks, we did 2-car, 5-car, and a 3-car offering. The problem is the 3-car offering only had 5 trucks instead of 6. So people bought, I want more than a 2-car. but I don't want to spend for a 5-car. So they bought the 3-car, and we're missing a truck because it's supposed to connect up to either the 2-car or the 5-car set. So we would make a 8 or 10-car configuration. Anyway, we quit doing that. We did catch ourselves.
You're listening to live to screw ups in MTH history. Let's move on.
All right, whatever. I think it's interesting.
What not to do.
Yeah, what not to do.
We've got a list of that. So we've got coil cars here as well. They've been pretty popular for us. And the CSX scheme there, I think we haven't done that before.
We haven't done that CSX or the Wheeling and Lake Erie scheme. And for folks who don't know, there's a little detail picture of it, but there's actually coil loads underneath the cover. The cover just lifts off, and you can see those coils, and they're removable, and they got a little bit of weight to them.
Yes, they do.
I think there's a center piece in there, that a little bit of weight, because frankly, and it's kind of low, so it keeps a low center of gravity, so you don't derail your train when you're, highballing. Mike Wolf running, as I like to say. He likes to drive fast. So what's up next? Cranes and crane tenders. That's a pretty slick crane. This isn't the one that collapses. It's the American crane that collapses. But again, boom goes up and down. The hooks go up and down, and the crane tender has an interior light. And these can be converted to 2-rail O-scale and KD couplers if somebody's so inclined. And then our cabooses. And Rich, what about these?
In the bay window, this is the first time we've ever done a Chicago South Shore caboose. So in our 40 years, this will be the first time you've seen one of those, fans of that line. And then the Santa Fe version up top, Santa Fe actually owned 2 bay window cabooses. So that is a real Santa Fe paint scheme.
They only had 2?
I believe so.
That's interesting. You would have thought a lot more.
Well, 2 they bought from Toledo, Peoria, and Western.
Oh, now you're just showing off.
I can't. Check out the big brain on Brad. All right.
Let's see. Was there any other notes on that?
Let's wrap up here.
That CSX. That has something to do with fruit growers. That was a Spirit of Grafton. How about that? What does that mean?
Check out the big brain on Andy.
See? That's just you, brother.
Andy's just showing off now.
I know. Passenger cars to go with whatever locomotives were up in the front. So chassis, I believe these are for Reading T1s or the T1s. I think all of these schemes are for the T1 engines, steam engines. And then these 64-foot wood-sided coaches go with the 440 Americans that are featured up in the Premier Steam section. And then from there, it's our usual transformers and track and so forth. So you get a good idea of what's in there. I think there's about 700 different SKUs in there. About 500 of them are brand new. So there you go.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff. And one thing that's not in your catalog, but we are doing exclusive, are our custom trolleys. And we're going to be doing a United States Army one that we just got in stock. And hopefully you guys could see our screen. We're going to be doing a Long Island as well. And
you did 2 different Long Islands. Your dad and you had a bet on which one was going to sell better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I didn't really get to do the one that I wanted to do, but
is that your excuse?
Came out. Yeah, that's my excuse. But then the Brooklyn one with the how sweet it is and forget about it. So lot of good stuff from you guys, and we appreciate you guys coming on today and talking. And it's good to walk through the catalog because there's so many items, and you really miss a lot of things. And there were certain things that I didn't know that I learned today, so we appreciate that. And of course, your banter.
I think you're making that up.
No, it's nice, a relief, and it's fun. It's not dry. We appreciate it here at TrainWorld. You're not the average duo. You're the dynamic duo.
Dynamic. Yeah, I've been called that before.
Yeah.
And I will say I am very impressed with Andy's notes. He sent me a full chapter of notes on what I should be doing, what I should be reading through. So I want to say you were very prepared. I didn't get anything from Rich, but Andy was way ahead of the ball game.
Let me tell you something.
My notes are all up here, Kenny. All up here.
You'll never get any notes from Rich. No doubt about that. I was just trying to make you look good too. You know.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. But it was very well. I wasn't surprised, but I was very impressed. And I will say, Andy, you did a great job, and you were well prepared. And Rich, you always look good.
All right.
That was pretty funny.
Good God.
That was pretty funny.
I know he's. All right, Kenny. Well, thanks for having us. I'd like to tell everybody stay safe out there, please.
Yeah, especially this weekend. Don't get crazy thinking everything's good to go. Just be safe, and we'll do the same here to some degree. And we'll see you soon.
Yep, and I really appreciate you coming on and sharing with all of our customers everything in the catalog, walking through. It's a really good thing for the customers, and we hope everybody out there got something out of it. And I could see tons of people all throughout the world joining. So we really appreciate it, and thank you guys, and we'll see you all soon.
All right, thank you.
Bye, Rich. Bye.
Take care.